This art class gig as a life model was meant to be a once-only event. The ultimate personal challenge. Facing up to my biggest fears and inhibitions. Being naked. In front of others. Was a case of kill or cure. It's been neither. It's been something else. Oh, it's funny what you think about when you're up here on display, but it all seems to come back to food. Like, I bought myself 2 pints of whole milk from Sainsbury's yesterday. Not semi-skimmed, not 1%, not skimmed, whole milk. Yes. I had a mad moment and I decided to indulge myself. Well, life has to have some excitement in it, doesn't it? And there's another thing. Potatoes. If you believe what the scaremongers say, eating potatoes can lead to all sorts of horrible ailments. Only thing they lead to in my kitchen is chips. I love chips. I would eat chips with everything, me. Given the choice, even rhubarb crumble on occasion. And what is it with vegetables? Is there a vegetable gene that kicks in our late teens? I mean, when do vegetables become something to enjoy as opposed to spit out? Happens to us all, but when exactly? Oh, it's a mystery. Though, I have to admit, they do invariably benefit from being sautéed in butter. To say I've struggled with my weight over the years, it's an understatement. I'm from both sides. I was like a stick until I was about 7 or 8. Mum used to despair for my fussy eating habits. There was practically nothing I'd eat. Me mum would be at the end of a rope and Dad would intervene and say, "You don't eat what's on your plate and you don't eat." Oh, it didn't bother me. I'd rather eat note than oat. Then my mother discovered around the age of 7 or 8 that there were 3 things I actually did like. Namely, oxtail soup with half a loaf of sliced white bread, baked beans cooked in bacon fat with half a loaf of sliced white bread, and lastly, a mountain of chips and half a loaf of sliced white bread and butter. And the die was cast. Within the course of 1 academic year, I went from stick thin to double chin. I remember my primary school teacher, Miss Douglas, doling out the yearly school photo portraits, and when she came to mine saying, "Oh, look, Winnie the Pooh." She had my classmates in hysterics. Then she handed me the photo and I was mortified. Over the course of 1 year, I went from stick insect to the Michelin man, no disputing the fact. Dad always said he believed in God and that God was good, but I'm not so sure. I mean, what kind of benevolent God would make everything that's good for you taste minging, whilst everything that's bad for you tastes amazing? I'll give you an example. Salad without mayonnaise. Enough said. I used to struggle with my weight. Not anymore. I've learnt my lesson. Everything in moderation. There was a time when no one would have wanted to see me naked, no one. Now they pay for it, though not enough. It doesn't bother me. I do it for me, not for them. Ooh, I have my admirers. At least one in this artist circle. I was here last Valentine's Day and a card was waiting for me from my secret admirer. They'd written me a poem too. How did it go again? Oh yeah. Your lips were made for kissing, My arms were made to embrace. Your bottom was made for sitting, so relax and sit on my comfy chair whilst I draw you in the bear. If you ask me, the author would be better off sticking to their paintbrush and leaving the pen alone. Still, no idea who it was who sent it though. Hope it wasn't Mrs. Hazelwood. She must be 92 if she's a day. But I'm sure I've seen her varifocals steam up on more than one occasion. Whoever my secret admirer is, they're the exception, not the rule. It didn't take me long doing this gig to realise that much. It quickly became clear to me that these artists are not interested in me as a person, just my bits and pieces. They're only really interested in observing and drawing the shape and angles of the body. Anybody would do. Doesn't bother me. Ever since Adam first hid his tadger under a fig leaf, we've all been ashamed of nudity to a greater or lesser degree. Most of us are pretty prudish when it comes down to it, in my experience. I was no exception. Always self-conscious about my body, as only a fat lad can be. Made all kinds of excuses not to take part in sports at school. The thought of communal showering had me in a state of utter apoplexy. As I got older, however, I invested a considerable amount of energy into getting in good shape. Might have been more productive to develop my brain, but whatever. It wasn't easy. I didn't understand the relationship between diet, food and calorie intake at first. I thought that eating diet products actually aided the weight loss. 20 pots of diet yogurt being better than one? Oh, fat chance. Eventually I got it. I evolved as the flap dissolved. On the evening of that first class, it finally dawned on me what I was letting myself in for. I bit the bullet, shrugged off my toweling robe and got naked in front of a studio full of beady eyes and had to remain that way for the foreseeable. The hardest part I soon realised was not the being naked, but how physically demanding it was to stay still. Bad enough standing completely stark as in front of a room full of strangers, you might think, but doing it on one leg for a full 30 minutes? You try it. It's a good job I have firm meaty thighs and calves. Being a paperboy in my youth proved to pay dividends in the event. The biggest revelation was seeing the sketches once I'd done my stint. Nobody drew me as a blimp. They drew me with lines and angles and even a flat tub. Oh, it was a revelation. See, it doesn't matter how hard I work on my bod or how much weight I've lost. I look in the mirror and I still see Winnie the Pooh staring back at me. I used to try and convince myself that the extra poundage meant there was more of me to love, certainly more to grab hold of. Grab the flab and ride the ripples, you know you want to. I failed. Now I'm trying to take the control back. Control of the fat kid. But it's hard. So hard. I'll keep at it. So long as they pay to observe